Morning, ladies and gents, and thank you so much for joining me this moment. I appreciate the time that you've given up to chat about the world of knowledge. Now, the reason why I decided to actually put this webinar together to introduce the diploma itself, but not only the diploma, what I've found over the years is that there are a lot of financial planners either already in the position or in the profession, but those who would like to come into the profession, but all they have is a matric, a level 4. What is available out there for those who are on the level 4, 5, or even level 6, and they actually want to learn, be it just learn for the profession, or be it to go and do an actual qualification? I find that there are bridging courses that one can actually attend. And there's also the advanced diploma, which I'll chat a little bit about it. But I feel that even though this is actually a postgrad diploma and a qualification, what is stopping anyone from actually coming on board and just do some learning? Going from matric, which is level 4, all the way to level 7 or level 6 so that you can do a qualification can take quite a few years. And what do you do in between that? Do you just learn about product? Do you just learn about what you need to do for sales? Or do you try and improve your practice and actually give your client some form of, I won't say level of service, because I think you are doing that at the moment as a financial planner. That is a professional, it's very professional. So I think you're doing that at the moment. But just that little extra edge, something that just where your clients just want you to plan for them and to have this relationship, business relationship, all the way until unfortunately death takes place. And that's why I feel that join the postgrad diploma on my platform. You're not going to get a qualification, but you are going to be learning like you have no idea. So let's just see, what do I cover? Marital regimes. I'll use a small example. In community of property, how many of us don't get involved in a buy and sell? How many times do we actually even ask our clients, are you married in community of property? If we don't, what happens is, if the spouse does not sign that agreement, do we have a valid buy and sell agreement when your client does eventually die? What is going to happen? Are we obligating one another to purchase the shares? So what? You got life insurance that funds it. Doesn't mean that the life insurance will pay out. Most definitely it will. But are you obligating those surviving partners from actually purchasing the shares? So it becomes very important to understand marital regimes. The accrual claim, how does the accrual claim work? Is it a right? Can I waive it? What does it mean from a Pension Fund Act perspective? Important. Look at customary marriages. How many of us know what the process is if I want to enter into more than one marriage? Can the spouse actually decline that? Can she stop her spouse from actually entering to more than one marriage, polygamous marriage? Law of succession, Wills Act. It's fine. It's fine that we get a copy of our client's will. Hopefully we do, because that's very, very important. But do we understand the provisions in that will? Do we understand what it actually means when the client actually dies? More often than not, probably not. If we network, that's fantastic. I think networking is also very, very important. But details, what are we actually planning for this client? Look at the amount of tax that we need to understand. And I've just mentioned a few there. Income Tax Act. The products, and the income tax and the tax that applies to those products. Do we understand it? Estate duty. We have systems that do the whole estate duty calculation for us. Do we know that something's gone wrong? What about retirement fund contributions? There's been a change, and I notice there's been some form of confusion revolving around that. Security transfer tax, again, buy and sell. Do you know that we have to do security transfer tax? There's a tax that has been paid. Do we even include that in our buy and sell? wealth creation. So important to do trusts. Do we understand when we recommend what that actually means? Look, the amount of business assurance we cover. Can I introduce policies to fund it? What are the structures? What are the tax consequences of that? What about when you are restructuring a company because one of the surviving shareholders, well, the surviving shareholders have survived, there's been a death, perhaps a disability. We're looking at retirement resignation. What do we do? Do we do share buybacks? Do we just do a buy and sell? What are the other ways that we can restructure a business? Do you know how often I get asked what type of products one should be putting in place for pre-retirement? And how does it work when there's post-retirement? How many products do we have? What are the tax implications? Very, it's just really knowledge that's required. And you don't need to do a postgrad. You don't need to go and register for any form of qualification. Just learn as you go along. It's important. What about understanding fund fact sheets? That is so difficult. Yes, we understand the investments we have, and yes, we understand the tax, but we don't always understand how to actually read the fund fact and how to apply it. Now, there's a new course that has been launched, and that's all about deceased estates. And I find from the financial planning perspective, we know all about financial planning, but I've always looked at the planning that we have done throughout the years. What does it actually mean when the client dies? Do we have a solvent estate? Can our dependents actually even inherit? The bequests, what about residual heirs? Are they getting any money? Is it sufficient? It's so important to see the end result of our planning, because if we see that and we understand what it is we have done correctly or incorrectly, it's just going to give us so much more confidence going forward. It helps us learn. I see so many recommendations, use of trusts. If you network with someone who understands trust, then brilliant. I'm a very happy person. But if we don't, have you gone against any of those trust provisions? Do you understand what those trust provisions? What about entering into some form of buy and sell? I keep harping on buy and sell, but that is a very dangerous agreement for us to get into if we're not understanding all the vehicles that the role players, and what is it that we actually need to do to ensure that all those role players are actually taken care of. Estate planning, the strategic calculation. I don't even have to go in there because I know that a lot of us actually need quite a bit of improvement from that perspective. Our systems calculate it for us, but we need to understand if the client asks us why, we need to explain to them why. We need to explain why we're making certain recommendations. So why learning? Why learning? Even before a postgrad? Well, it gives you a lot of confidence. Trust me, it gives you a lot of confidence. I can give you a whole lot of students who have in the past studied with me and communicated with me saying, Carmen, what I've learned has given me so much confidence. I can address any single client I want to. Nothing is actually that complex. Not only have they learned, but I've also taught them a process that they need to go through to make sure that every little bit of component is broken down. What does this mean, not only for the planner going forward in terms of planning, but also for the client? Also for the client, because sometimes they don't understand. So there's confidence. Knowledge gives you confidence. There's no two ways about that. That will improve your quality of advice. It will definitely. We don't have to only concentrate on a life insurance that has to fund some form of solution or just be the only solution. It just improves. And not only that, what happens is you have clients who just want you as a financial planner. Someone asked me the other day, who is your short-term insurance? And my immediate answer was, I don't know. I don't know which company my short-term insurance is with at all, but I do know the broker that's involved, and I've been involved with her for perhaps about 25 years. I still don't know where my product actually, who the administrator is. I just know that when I phone Michelle, Michelle's there for me. That is who I have been loyal to, not necessarily the company behind it, but Michelle. And wherever Michelle goes, I'll go. Simple. If she changes company, it doesn't matter to me. Because why? I've got the confidence to address those clients. I give quality advice because I've got the knowledge, I've got the learning. I can deal with any form of complex estate plan. And you can also network, but at least you are understanding what it is you are giving your client. Fees first commission, I don't want to go there. I don't want to know about regulations, etc. That's not what I'm interested in. It's this. At the moment, or I think the majority of financial planners could still be commission-based. If you don't sell that life insurance policy or investment, you're not going to get any remuneration. And that sort of plays a little bit in terms of quality advice, because we're going to have to see a lot of clients. But it's so easy when you have this knowledge. It's so easy when you have the confidence to actually just say to the client, I will do the whole planning for you. I will do a whole report. I will charge a fee for that. Whether they introduce life insurance or investments, whatever it is, you can charge a fee. The client will be happy to pay that fee. You can interplay. You can go between fees and commission. But you at least are providing that quality of advice that your client actually wants to pay for it. Okay, definitely, I think there's total improvement. And for those who do concentrate on sales in their practice. If you understand the cease estates, I can guarantee you now, you will sell at least one policy in your first call to your client, in your first meeting with the client, because every single client requires a policy of at least 200 to 300,000 life cover payable to a deceased estate, because you don't want the client to die with an insolvent estate. You want all the debt covered. Master fees, the executive fees, the funeral, the advertising, there are just so many costs that we don't take into account. So if all you want to do is increase your sales, please attend deceased estates. Come at least and understand what that is all about. Look at the liquidation and distribution account. Look at all the costs. Cover that with one life insurance policy. So that is your focus. Knowledge will also give it to you. So what is the content? What is all the system all about? So those of you who want to join, we have a session once a week, a live session once a week for 4 hours. If you're doing deceased estates, it's 3 hours. You're going to be getting content. Of course, you have to have online material to go through. A lot of that content I'll show you are summaries, so that makes it a bit easier. And then you've got recorded webinars that you can listen at your own leisure. And of course, we have to test your knowledge, and that is your online assessments, your marking and your quizzes. Very detailed. Access to very good material, definitely, to make sure that your practice is going to improve, and your knowledge as well. So this is just really what the system looks like once you've registered. It gives you, as I mentioned there, you see that there's a lot of content. I've just taken a screen dump just to make it easier for us in this presentation, just give you an idea. We talk around the acts, the material, easier for you to look through, and we actually talk around those acts for you to understand the actual act. I always find the questions that I do receive can be answered by looking at the act. So that's something I'll try and teach. And then summaries are provided. If you are not the type of person who wants to go through the act and understand the actual act, then I provide summaries so that you actually understand a valid, I'm just looking at wills here because it's so much easier, but what are the formalities required? When is it valid? When is it not valid? Who can and who cannot? So these are the type of summaries that you will also find available on the platform. At the end of the course, if you are on the course only for CBD points, well, I'm not going to say only for CBD points because that's not something that I'd like to focus on. But if you're wanting to do some learning, even if it's pre-qualification, if you want to do some learning, CBD points, you will get a certificate to show that you've actually been on the platform. Beautiful. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to give me their thoughts and questions and ideas. But before I do that, I'd like to post this recording onto LinkedIn and some of my other platforms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this here, and then I'll open up the platform, and you're all free to actually ask any questions. But thank you so much thus far for being on the system. I really, really look forward to learning with you, whether you're doing the qualification or not. I just want to teach, and I think that's important. Thank you so much for your time.